The agricultural revolution is a scam. Well, kind of. For most of our evolutionary history, we've been living in Eastern Africa as hunter-gatherers. For millions of years, we've been killing animals and eating their meat and gathering some fruit and berries and eating that. And only for the past 12,000 years, we've been actually growing our own crops and living in the same places. So, for less than 1% of our evolutionary timeline, we've been actually eating grains and all of that monocrop cultures. When I was going through my high school biology curriculum, I was always taught that we've been kind of these omnivores who would occasionally hunt but mostly gather and eat some tubers and fruit, and that's how we lived because, well, monkeys don't hunt that much like chimpanzees, and that is partially true. Chimpanzees, our closest relative, isn't hunting that much at all. Like most of the time they gather high fiber fruit and they chew on it and they chew and chew. They chew for 5 hours a day. And this is why their brains are still small. Our brains only grew because we started hunting on a massive scale. You see, both your brain and your gut require tremendous amounts of energy to function. Your brain alone, while being only like 2% of your body mass, is consuming 20% of your entire calorie consumption. So you cannot really afford to have both a huge gut which can process fiber and a huge brain. So what you do instead? You get your nutrients and your protein from hunting. Animal food is basically the most bioavailable protein and nutrients out there. And these recent studies have found that millions of years ago we actually moved away from how other primates are feeding. In the times of Homo erectus, we actually started consuming much more meat. Being more social allowed us to hunt in a more efficient way, and that actually allowed our gut to shrink more. Instead of using our gut to digest food for most of the day like cows do, we actually started using that energy to grow our brains, and our brains allowed us to hunt even better. We've been magnificent hunters, and at some point, a couple of million years ago, we've actually became apex predators. We literally somehow made cave lions extinct. We just kind of pushed them out. Early humans were incredible hunters. And there's been like this weird myth which has been propagated by mostly vegans and environmentalists because apparently cows are bad for environment, that, well, early humans were eating vegetables and mostly gathering and hunting was just like an occasional thing. Well, maybe that was the case 10 million years ago, before even Homo as a genus appeared. But once we as humans started to appear on this planet, we quickly switched over to hunting. Like, well, I'm kind of vulgarizing here, of course evolution takes time, but for most of our evolutionary period during the past million years, we've been actually just hunters mostly and not gathering that much at all. We've been, of course, eating a variety of fruit and tubers and honey and some nuts, but aside from that, we've been hunting wild game, huge animals too, because we've quickly figured out that by hunting larger animals we would get more meat for the same effort. So we switched away from hunting things like hogs and antelopes to things like mammoth and elephants. And this meat was actually fatty. There was one thing which I was wrong about, is that I used to claim that eating leaner cuts of meat was more ancestrally consistent because most of wild game was leaner. But actually now with these studies I know that we were mostly hunting larger game for most of the significant evolutionary period. And because we were hunting larger game, we would eat more fat and more saturated fat. It's just that you should obviously you shouldn't have like a 10,000 calorie surplus. This is the thing which is unhealthy about this. But if you're eating and exercising like you're not force feeding yourself. Like if you're on carnivore, you cannot overeat on carnivore. It's impossible. If you're on strict carnivore, you're not gonna overfeed. You're actually likely to lose weight instead. Even if you were lean already, you can lose even more weight on carnivore. But well, I digress. Here's the thing. We've actually been so good at hunting that we actually made megafauna extinct. Like when humans first got to Australia, because we weren't native to the region, like 45,000 years ago, in a matter of like 2,000 years, most of Australian megafauna was gone, because guess what? Humans ate them all. And that is actually the reason why humans actually started to eat slightly more plant products at the end, is because there was less megafauna, so we had to sustain ourselves with more food. But still, like 80% of our diet consisted of meat. And I tried this, and I used to like shit on carnivore as much as I shit on vegans, saying that it's not healthy, but this is not true. And in 2025, a study was released which found that actually there is no correlation between people in ketosis who live a healthy lifestyle and who have high LDL cholesterol and arterial plaque. So basically, the study found that people who were in ketosis, so mostly eating fat and protein, and they were like older men too, they were like 40 to 50-year-old men. Usually at this age you would start seeing plaque build up in arteries and cardiovascular disease. But people who actually lived off fat and eating a healthy ketogenic diet and and living a healthy lifestyle, they had basically no plaque. They had like trace amounts of plaque, which was like barely detectable by instruments. And the study found that basically what predicts plaque is plaque. If you have plaque from unhealthy lifestyle, you're gonna get more plaque. But if you don't have plaque because you're in ketosis and eating saturated fat like we used to eat, and you exercise and actually control your calories. But basically I went into ketosis on mostly animal-based diet, and my productivity just exploded. It went from like 40% to like 100% brain power, which is insane. I always used to crash when I would eat in the university restaurant at my campus. And I remember I would have like group project with other students, and I would basically not be able to work and contribute, and then they would kind of judge me for that. And at the end I would even get bad grades because they wouldn't even put my name on the fucking final report because I wouldn't do any work. My brain was shut down from carbs. And I'm not like metabolically unhealthy. I don't have diabetes. I don't have like any high blood glucose or stuff like that. I don't have any pancreatic problems. I just crashed from modern diet. And many of you may too. Like, the thing is, all of the argument about sustainability is not for us, because we are high performance. We're not like the 99% of people. We are here to win. We are here to perform at best. We are here to work hard and rest hard. And 99% of people don't even want to eat a diet as clean as us. So our advantage is that we don't have to look at the entire human population and like go into this philosophy like, can we make this diet sustainable for everyone? No. Carnivore diet is not sustainable for 8 billion people. But it is sustainable for us because we're like a million people on earth who work as hard as us. It is sustainable for us. And it's actually necessary for us. So what you should do instead is, instead of thinking of all that sustainability bullshit, just buy as much meat as you need, eat whatever you need, and perform better, and actually bring results to humanity by doing more work in a more efficient way, rather than trying to save money and environmental damage by eating less meat. All that vegan propaganda is for like 99% of vegetables who don't fucking work hard enough. So don't worry about that. It is actually better for humanity for us to eat this way, because it allows us to work harder and produce more result. That is my philosophy. And there is absolutely no damage, like there is no risk from you trying carnivore for like 3 months, unless you have like a major metabolic dysfunction, like really hardcore diabetes, or like if you have a disease, like first of all you would know, like you would be on dialysis or something like that if you have like a kidney disease or a liver disease. But if you have these, like consult doctor first. Like this is like, I'm not gonna give you like bullshit advice about like just go and try that. But if you're healthy, just literally go and try this. If you don't have any major diseases, go and try this. You're gonna see the result for yourself, and you're gonna see that you actually feel better. With a 99% chance, you're gonna be much more productive. And this is what allowed me to get into a prestigious engineering school. This has allowed me to actually perform in college, get into a master's program in France, in a foreign language. So I came from Russia to France 6 years ago. I had to learn French, I had to learn English, I even had to learn German, but well, I don't use it that much. This is what I do, and this is what works for me. If you live in an ancestrally consistent diet, if you ignore all of the bullshit linked to modern agriculture, and you actually exploit it to your advantage, like you eat grass-raised, pasture-raised, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, all of that stuff, organic beef, you're gonna feel much better. And it doesn't even cost that much, because when you cut out all of the bullshit, all of the fucking tacos and ultra-processed foods and Pop-Tarts from your diet, you're gonna actually find out that it's much cheaper to eat like that. You're gonna lose weight from eating less food, because just fat and meat is just satiating. 3 months of carnivore is not gonna do to you any damage if you're healthy. Go ahead and try that. And consult your doctor otherwise. So yeah, this is it. Perform well, focus on your performance, don't listen to fucking vegans, and like, vegan is for ethical reasons, but we're not here for ethics, we're here for high performance. And as an engineer, I can tell you that I found out what diet works the best for me. I found out what exercise works for maximum performance, what kind of sleep you should get to get maximum performance, and I'm gonna teach you all of that in other videos on my channel. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.